All right. It's good to see everybody. Okay, so let's turn to page 120 in our prayer books. Watch, I'll turn this off and 5 seconds later have to turn it back on. All right, so, and if we're there, let's sing the song that's not on that page, as is our tradition. Bim, bum, bim, 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 bum, oh, bim, 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 bum, jerry, 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 bim, bum, bim, 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 bum, oh, bim, 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 bum. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim, bum, bim, 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 bum, oh, bim, 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 bum. Addison and Jasmine, why don't you come down here and help me light the Shabbat candles? Are you afraid of fire? Ready? All right. And Jasmine, you're going to do that 3 times. Okay, then say with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidshanu bar mitzvotah v'tivanu L'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Great Shabbos. That's a clock, girls. Okay, you may be seated. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Let us put this week away. Let's put it away. The highs, the lows, the successes and failures, the sunrises and the sunsets, the sadness and the joys, all are just a memory now. There will soon be a new week. So let's put this one away and enter this sacred space and time, this moment of now in which anything is possible. Let us put away the clothes of our work week and wrap ourselves in Shabbat and bring peace to our souls. Turn to page 127. And let's read together the one at the bottom of the page. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Turn to page 128. And let's sing Hine Matov at the top of the page. How good and how pleasant it is when brothers and sisters dwell together. Hine Matov u'manahim shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manahim shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manahim shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manahim shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manahim shevet akim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov, la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov, la 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 la. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace. And let's turn to 138 for Chadodi, where we welcome Shabbat as a bride. We will do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On the 9th verse, if you so wish, stand, turn to the back of the shul, and welcome Shabbat. Lechadodi lekrakala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Lechadodi lekrakala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Lechadodi lekrakala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Lechadodi lekrakala, Panei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor b'zikul b'deku echad, Hishmiyanu el hamukad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'Hashem l'teferet adihila. Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela, Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabala. Likrat Shabbat lechuv necha, Ki mekor habraka, Mirosh migdeno sesuka, Sof ma'asabat atahila. Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela, Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela. Itori, kiva ori, komi ori, uri, shidabari, kapara noya nanagila. Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela, Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela. Holy Fishalom ataret bala, Gam bimsuka se ola, Togemuni se gula, Oikala. Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela, Lechadodi likra kala, Panei Shabbat nikabela. Turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malakei HaShaharim, Malakei Yom, Mi Melech Malakei HaMalakim HaKodosh, Baruch Hu. Baruchim Shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Yom, Mi Melech Malakei HaMalakim HaKodosh, Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Yom, Mi Melech Malakei HaMalakim HaKodosh, Baruch Hu. Zetkim l'shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Yom, Mi Melech Malakei HaMalakim HaKodosh, Baruch Hu. Enter in peace, O messengers of peace, angels of the Most High, majesty of majesties, Holy One of blessing. Depart in peace, O messengers of peace, angels of the Most High, majesty of majesties, Holy One of blessing. Turn to page 144 for the Reader's Kaddish. Yitgadav yikadash merab amen. Bi'alma divrach rotei v'mik malkutei. B'chaye kon Ukayed kopet Israel, Bagala, Bagala, Uzmin man kariv, Vimaru, Amen. Yehesh me rabba me borak, Leolam el mehamaya, Yitbarak, Yishtabak, Vipar, Virma Vinase, Vitada, Vitale, Vitala, Shmere Kudasha Breku, Leo Meko Birata Vishirata, Tushbekata Vanekemata, Damiram Bioma, Vimaru, Amen. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Least my day be today as the one before, least routine set my ways. Turn to page 146 and rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch et Adonai Hamvorak. Baruch Adonai Hamvorak Lelam Boed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever. You may be seated. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Turn to page 149. My prediction was correct.
You just hot stuff.
Yeah, right? The light gets hot quick. All right. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's read together the one at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Turn to page 152 and rise for the Shema, watchword of our faith. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Voed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Let me turn the page for the Ve'ahavta. And you may be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levacha uv'kol nefeshcha uv'kol modecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anoki mitzvavecha hayom al levavecha b'shinatam levanecha Vidabata Baham, Bisheptoka, Bivrateka, Uvlekteka, Vadarek, Uvshebeka, Uvkomeka, Ukshaptom Leora Yodeka, Vehayu, Letotofori Binineka, Uftaftam Mozuzo Beteka, Uvishareka, Leman Sikeru, V'tekem ek kol mitzvotai, v'etem kedoshim lelekem, Ani Adonai Eloheichem, Asher hodet etchem meretz Mitzrayim, Le'yot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Eloheichem. Emet. Okay, so if you will turn your page back for a minute to the Shema. And we've talked about this before. So the huge ayin at the end of Shema and the huge dalet at the end of Echad. They said, the rabbi said this is because those two letters together mean witness. So, let's see. Okay, so when we say emet at the end of the ve'ahavta, it doesn't mean witness, but witness is the clue. What are you supposed to say? What does it mean? You got it? True. True dat. So we're witnessing. When we finish the ve'ahavta, we go, true dat. Emet. Okay, so let's say together the version on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Turn to page 158. 158. Okay, so take a moment, shut your eyes if you need to put yourself in that space and time. We have left Egypt, but Pharaoh's army is coming after us. They know we're not going where we said we're going to go and not doing what we said we're going to do, and here they come. All the chariots, all the horsemen. And there is the sea of reeds in front of us. We can't go any further. But a pillar of cloud and fire comes between us and Egypt's men. And Moses takes hold of his staff, holds it out. All night the wind blows, the sea parts. We walk over on dry land. But here comes Pharaoh's army. It looks like we're not going to get away after all. But then the waters close in and drown the army. And we are free people. And when we step out, we sing the Mika Mocha. Mika Mocha Bali Madonai, Mika Mocha Neda Kodesh, Noratilo, Osefele, Noratilo, Osefele, Malkutaka, Rauvaneka, Bokehayam, Defne Moshe, Zeliani Viemru, Adonai Imlach, Adonai Imlach, Leolam Voed, Benima Kavad Adonai Jacob, Agu Mayit Kasik Mamenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, God Israel. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob with a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Turn to page 161. And let's read together the one at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haparis sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael v'ayu Yerushalayim. Turn to page 162. And let's sing the Vashamru at the top of the page. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Latzod et ha-Shabbat ledorot barit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Latzod et ha-Shabbat ledorot barit olam. B'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Oti leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Latzod et ha-Shabbat ledorot barit olam. Keishishit mayamim asa Adonai et shamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Latzod et ha-Shabbat ledorot barit olam. Uvim ha-shaviv shavat b'nafash shavat b'nafash shavat v'nafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Latzod et ha-Shabbat ledorot barit olam. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Turn to page 164 and rise for the tefillah, which is on 164, 166, and 168. And I'm going to need help from Ethan and Zeb. So come on. All right. Ethan, you too. Come on. Chop, chop. Okay. You start. Go ahead, you guys stand up there. Ready? Ready? Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Adonai sevatati taku fi agiti toteka.
Adonai, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rahel, El Agadol Agibor Vanora, Elyon, Gomer Lasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol, V'Osel V'Imahot, Migula Livnei V'Nevem, Manchamo B'Hava, Melkozel Moshir Mogain, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Serah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Makeh Hakol Atah Roshia, Mekayeh La'im Ba'Kesed, Mekayeh Hakol Ba'Rasabim Rabim, Somek Nofim Borek Kolim, Umatir Asarim, Kayeh Mimonoto, Lishnei Afar, Mika Moka Bagihorot, Omida Melech, Melech Memitum Kayeh, Umatir Rashua, Benematat Mekhatachol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh Lakol. Amen.
How's your clock, boys? Be seated. Please take this moment to meditate on your week. Silently say the prayers of your heart or read from your siddur. You may be seated. Turn to page 180. Yeulerazonim refi veglion bilefaneka Adonai suri Adonai suri begoali yeulerazonim refi veglion bilefaneka Adonai suri Adonai suri begoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom bimramov, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'ako Israel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Israel. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu v'yako Yisrael. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu v'yako Yisrael. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu v'yako Yisrael. Turn to page 368 for the Aliyah. Bahu et Adonai hambarak. Baruch Adonai hambarak lelam boet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. This week we have a double portion, Tzazari and Metzora. There are 7 sets of double portions, and the rabbis decide which will be used during the year because festivals are assigned their own parshas, and the double portions allow us to finish reading the whole of the Torah from one Simchat Torah to the next, a yearly cycle. At one time, the Sephardi actually read Torah on a 3-year cycle, and so had different parshas than we do today. The parsha starts with the length of time a woman is to be unclean after giving birth, and the period is twice as long for a girl as it is a boy. The boy must be circumcised on the 8th day. Then she is to make a sacrifice, and it gives all the details both for someone of means and someone who is poor. It is pretty sexist, but there you go. Then there is much ado about leprosy. Most interesting is that someone expected of being leprous was to be quarantined, which we all know way more about than we want to right now. If his rash goes away, he has to clean himself and all his clothes, and then he can come back. But if his rash spreads, the priest will declare him unclean, and he shall remain in quarantine. Most of both of these portions deal with infectious disease and mostly leprosy. Double portions are nearly always identical in text. So it's like the double portions, there's a reason why they made them double portions, because they have almost the same message. It's just slightly different from one to the other, and maybe there'll be one thing that's mentioned in one that's not mentioned in the other. If someone is reported to be healed, then the priest has to do a purification ritual and sacrifice before the person was allowed to come back. They can come back, but can't go in their tent for 7 more days. And they have to shave all the hair from their body, take a bath, and wash their clothes. Then there's another sacrifice, and finally he can go back home. It also talks about cloth and even houses being infected by a plague and rituals for cleansing or disposing of them if they cannot be cleansed. Some rabbis said this was speaking of mold and mildew, but Maimonides said this was something that only happened in the Holy Land and was a growth that was caused through the owner willfully sinning and went away only if through the sacrifices and ritual he truly repented. The Parshas end talking about what to do with people who have discharges from their genitalia, which I'm just not going to get into all of that from the Bima. You want to know? Read the Parsha. Both of these portions are pretty graphic and sort of gross. But there is a huge lesson in Tezeri and Metzora that is often lost because, well, come on, it's all about gross stuff and what to do about it. As much as any other Parsha, this one shows how special the connection between God and the Jewish people is. Why do I say that? Am I nuts? Well, yes, of course I'm nuts. But I have a point. Because you see, at a time way before science, and a time when no one even knew what a germ was or how disease spread, the Jews are told to put someone who is sick outside the camp and not let them come back till they have been cleared of the disease for a set time. And then they are to clean themselves completely, going so far as to shave all the hair off their bodies. No doubt to prove there are no hidden lesions on them, before they were considered clean enough to live in the camp again. Jews know what to do in hard times. In our oldest written record, we are told what to do about disease. We understand quarantine. We don't like it, but we understand it. It's what we were told to do to deal with disease before most people even had a clue. Separating them was not a punishment against the person that was sick. It was a way to protect the rest of the community. Being called unclean doesn't seem very nice, but it's a warning that they are not to be touched. It may seem the text is suggesting these sick people be treated harshly, but that thinking shows a lack of understanding of the history of medicine. Leprosy was a horrible, deadly, contagious disease, and there was no cure for it. They're not being done away with, and we can assume they are being given food, clothing, shelter. They were being treated. What the priests are doing is very involved and a little weird, and I don't know if it did any good or not, but they were trying. But do such parshas actually teach us anything about being a better person today? Did it help us at all deal with the plague we just lived through? Did it help us understand the isolation or make sense of it? Maybe yes, maybe no. We are not the only people in history to live through a plague. It is clear when we read these portions. We aren't even the first people to live through a global pandemic. I have been through at least 2 myself. It is in our very nature to take care of people who need help. Putting them away from us because they might make us sick goes against our every instinct. Yet here it is in Torah, and we know there are times when it is the only answer. We don't like it. We are to lift up the fallen, take care of the widow and orphan, not to put a stumbling block in front of the blind. Over and over, we are ordered to make fair courts, not governed by what someone has or who they are in the community, but only by what they have done. This week's portions have one list of sacrifices for people who can afford it and another for people who can't. It doesn't say treat the people with the poor offering differently than you do the ones who have the rich one. The sacrifices are seen as equal. At the end, both are equally clean. Fairness, justice, that's what we are supposed to be all about. disease doesn't understand justice. It isn't fair. I think for many of us, it has been hard to get over what the pandemic did to us. Everything changed and nothing is really quite the same. And just what is the new normal? Is this it? Or is it still coming? We were put outside the camp. Whether we were sick or not, we all had to deal with the pandemic in one way or the other. We don't know exactly what the world will be from now on, but we know what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to work to heal the world. We have come back to camp, and now it is time to be part of the tribe again and get back to work. Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chai olam natan b'tokenu Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah. Wrong tune.
That's not what it says.
Halfway through it, and I'm like, why is this not working? It's the wrong tune. I'll do it again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chai olam natan b'tokenu Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah. Amen. I blame you kids because you always get that wrong. Okay, turn to page 371 for the Misha Bera. Our prayer for the sick. As I've already said, Donna is not only still having trouble with her kidney stones, but now she has COVID. So we're praying for Donna, praying for all of us. And as I go around the room, if you have someone who you're thinking of.
Kevin, Bruce, Sierra, Gail, Ivan.
Shauna, Michelle Lindman, Lisa Irwin, and Don White.
Susan Horowitz and Carol Armstrong.
Anybody else? My Aunt Mary. Okay, so, huh? Oh, Charlotte Perez, yeah. So, okay, so let's sing the Misha Barak in the middle of page 371. Misha Barak avotenu mekol habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Barak imotenu mekor habracha lamotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlama, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, bless and heal those who are ill. Please turn to page 586 and all rise for the Elena. 586. Adonai Holy One, and let us say, Amen. May be seated. The Kinder Transport is the name of an effort made by the British government to save children, mostly Jewish children, from what they saw at the time as the inevitable coming of World War II. It moved children to mostly Britain from Germany and Austria between 1938 and 1939. 10,000 children to Great Britain, an estimated 5,000 more were taken in by Belgium, France, Sweden, and Switzerland. They had been working towards this idea for a while, but started actively moving children because of Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, when they saw they were running out of time. The Central British Fund for German Jewry was established in 1933, when the war against the Jewish people really started. Jews' rights were being stripped away, but many thought, this will pass. Surely they won't really come for us. What have we done to them? By 1938, many were glad to send their children to the relative safety of the UK and these other countries. Here in the States, a bill was introduced in Congress to increase the quota of immigrants by bringing 20,000 Jewish children from Germany before the war, but opposition from Senator Robert Rice Reynolds tabled the bill, and it never made it to a vote. A vast number of the children saved in the Kinder Transport Project were the only ones of their family to survive the Holocaust. They were not unscarred by any long stretch of the imagination. Being shipped away from their parents left them emotionally scarred, but they were alive to be scarred. For the parents, they had waited too long to even try to get away. In other words, it was easier for the British and these other foreign entities to sneak children out of the country, than it was adults. They would basically go in, pretend to be the parents, they would send people to be the parents, and they would bring these kids over. So that's how they got them out. For poor and middle-class Jews, there was just no real way out of the line of fire and nowhere to go. When we say the mourner's Kaddish, we remember our own loved ones who have died. We also remember our people who have been tied to a sorrow few other peoples have had to deal with. Being attacked over and over, not because of what we have done, but because of who we are. We maybe more so than any other group of people on earth know what it means to say, we are not free till everyone is free. We say the mourner's Kaddish to stand for a moment with people who were cut down too soon. Those who lost their loved ones and their youth to unmentionable tyrants, and those who lie in unmarked graves with no one alive to remember that they ever were. It is not a prayer of death or sorrow. We say it to lift ourselves from our grief and to lift our people. It is a prayer of hope, meant to bring comfort. May God be revealed in our lifetime. May there be abundant peace from above and life for all of us. May the one who makes peace on high bring it to us as well. Turn to page 598. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Tonight we remember Karol Boguslavsky, Helen Pollock, Iser H. Nickdimon, Harvey Wine, A.E. Miller, Ella Tillis Falk. Does anyone else have a yard site at this time, family member or friend? Okay, so we all remember Harvey. Harvey was a double-edged sword. You either loved or hated Harvey, and sometimes both, and all at the same time. But he was a humdinger in a lot of ways. So, Zechranam Leverakaka. May their memories be for a blessing as we rise and recite the mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach roltei v'olmikmakutei, v'kaye kon u'yomei akon, u'kaye dukobe Israel, v'agala ozman karib v'yamru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevrot omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yipav v'ramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadav v'yitaleh v'yitallah shemei dekudishav b'reikul. Leo mekol brirata v'shirata, tushbekata v'nekamata, damiram v'yalma v'yamru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'yikain aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. O say shalom bimra, huya say shalom aleinu, v'yol kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. You may be seated. Okay, does anybody have any announcements? Announcements? Anybody?
Counting the Omar, we have decided that'll be the 16th.
Last of the Omar is counted the 16th.
Tonight.
That's tonight. So we're counting down the Omar at 16 tonight. All right, anything else? Hebrew Torah study tomorrow at 10. Hebrew school tomorrow at 10. Anybody else, anything? All right, then turn to page 626 and let's sing Enkel Eloheinu. Okay, 626. It's an easy one. Most of us know it. If I do it every time, we'll all know it. That's one that I know. I can't teach you one I don't know. Enkel Eloheinu, Enkel Adonenu, Enkel Mokeinu, Enkel Moshienu, Mikel Eloheinu, Mikel Adonenu, Mikel Mokeinu, Mikel Moshienu, Nodei Eloheinu, Nodei Adonenu, Nodei Mokeinu, no de la Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Mokeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Mokeinu, Atahu Moshienu. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Amen. May the Lord deal kindly and graciously with you. Amen. May the Lord bestow his favor upon you and grant you peace. Amen. May we be a blessing to the world. May the whole world be a blessing for us. Stay safe and be kind. Shabbat Shalom.